Hello and welcome to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. My name is Steve Smith and I'm your host, and I've got something different for you this time. It's one for the turfies out there, a little bit of a deep dive into something slightly different and something you might be interested in. This segment is called Steve's Random Special Guest, and it is someone that you do know of. I will say that at the very beginning. Sit back, relax, take this one all in. It's a little bit different for your ears out there. I hope you enjoy it. This is episode number 160. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very privileged to be doing something different. This is a segment of Steve's Random Special Guests on the podcast. So I've got joining me here Nadeem Zreikat from Colin Campbell Chemicals, a friend of the podcast. G'day, Nadeem. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Steve, yourself? Very
good. Thank you, mate. Now, we've got something a bit different to talk about, something a little bit special, and we're recording this on site because I'm doing work with Avondale Golf Club at the moment, some history work where they're working towards their centenary. So I've got to talk about that, but they've loaned us a room to record the podcast. It's their dining and trophy room here inside the clubhouse. They've given us some space for this. So I'm very thankful to Avondale Golf Club for doing so. And mate, we're going to talk about something here. You've recently been elected a board member of the International Turfgrass Society. And I wanted to get you on the pod. We want to talk a little bit more about this. Mate, it happened while you were over in Japan recently for their conference. Tell us a little bit about the lead up and you getting a nomination to be on their board.
No, exactly. So this is not random that I'm a random guest because I've been on a few times, but it's a very random topic. This
it is.
So when the International Turfgrass Society. So the conference was back in July this year.
Yep.
And a lot of people would not have any idea what this thing is.
I'd never heard of it. No, you come back and send your... I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I'm going to Japan.
We need to know more.
And there's a bunch of Aussies going.
There was quite a few that went over, Australian supers and so on, contingent that went over.
There was. Let me just say sort of how this all came about as well. I knew about the society, but I was sitting at the Australian Golf Club during the Australian Open. Funnily enough, we're talking about Avondale Golf Club. Rob Biddle, the super, was there with me. We were having a chat, and Micah Woods was there.
Yep.
He goes, "Hey, why don't you come to Japan?"
Like, what as you do?
Yeah. But I want to go there on a holiday. Family, we've been talking about it. What do you mean, Micah? He goes, we're doing the International Turfgrass Society conference. The research conference is going to be there in Japan. Going, you should come along. You know what? That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, when I saw Micah over there, I did say to him, Micah, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been here because he told me about it, looked into it. Then I started talking to other people going, you know what? That's actually a good idea. Let's go. It's nice and close. Japan is. It's only 8 to 10 hour
It's not
trip
ridiculous.
Over there.
It's not going across the world.
No, exactly. So said I was going, and then to my surprise, friend of mine, Dr. John Kaminsky, who as time of recording, he's doing his sabbatical on BF1 here. He asked me, going, "Hey, would you be interested in being nominated for the board?" I'm like, "Huh? What do you mean?" It's like. I knew about the society before I go a bit of the history, but I knew about the society from Professor Peter McMaugh, John Nayland, Don Locke. They had and Dr. Percy Wong. They'd all been a part of it in the past.
Very key names in research in the turf industry in Australia. Yeah,
yeah, turf legends. And on my podcast, I did a podcast with Peter McMaugh, and we talk a little bit about that as well. And
that's Behind the Turf podcast for anyone wondering. Nadeem's got his Behind the Turf pod.
No, and part of this was like going, well, let's but don't I have to be a researcher? This was said. It's like going, no, we actually look, from a whole diverse range of the turf industry to help the society, and it can be from a company. It doesn't have to be. It can be from a supplier. It doesn't have to be a turf researcher.
Okay.
I said, okay. I said, well, I'm quite knowledgeable in certain aspects. But I said, when it comes to university research and all of that, going, I can't do that. I don't pretend to do that. So I remember speaking to John Nayland, and he goes. I said, John, what do you reckon? He said, no, you know what, do it. It'll be good. He said, it'll work well that it gives representation for us in Australia, but also the other side, you can promote the society for what as it needs to be. He goes, from that research side, there's other people who can help you, and 100% definitely.
Sure. Yep.
So I'm going in from that more marketing side of things.
Yeah, okay. Yep. No, and that's good because here we are talking about it. Most people don't know about it, and this is the idea, right? So straight away we're launching it into people's ears that they're going to go, oh, okay, let me have a look into more about it. So, mate, can you the nomination, what a privilege to be nominated for in general, and like you mentioned, they're a little bit out of nowhere, but that's pretty impressive with those names that you mentioned of researchers in this country that have done a lot of work in turfgrass, and to be in a group, a society of an international group is a big deal to represent our corner of the world.
No, definitely. So, like, I guess a little bit about what the society does, because, as we said, people don't know about it, and a lot of people didn't know. So it was a society to establish and encourage turf research around the world. All the researchers to come together collaboratively. Sorry, I know what sometimes.
It's early in the morning.
It has been. I really started early today. To come together, talk about their research, what they've been doing, and just pretty much a conference for turf researchers. That's what it was initially there for.
Yep.
But it started. The first one was back in 1969 in Harrogate in England. So that was the first one, and it happens every 4 years. So it's not an every year thing.
What? That's 55 years ago.
Yeah. So well older than both of us.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think I showed you just before a picture with Professor Peter McMaugh. Like, he was there with Jim Beard and some other renowned turf pathologists, turf professors. I think it might have been the 6th conference or something like that. But he's been to a lot of them.
Yeah.
And the aim was to get everyone together and talk about the research they did. And when I went to Japan this year, and there was about 30 Australian registrations there, 30 Aussies over there. That included partners, but in terms of turf managers, I think there was about a good 20 turf managers that went.
Wow.
Be it all from Victoria, bar myself, and one from Queensland.
Yep. Okay.
But we were blown away about the actual conference itself.
Wow.
And what the information and what we all learnt from it. So it's all the researchers, whatever they do every 4 years, they submit papers. And a mate of mine, Dr. Scott McElroy, who some of you may know, he was at the Wellington Conference. Yes, Wellington Conference in New Zealand. He was a keynote speaker there. He said, we've got a record number of, because he's on the board, and he goes, there's a record number of submissions for different research papers. So it might be research papers from the professors. It might be from PhD students. So a lot of the professors bring their students, that next generation.
Yep.
So I got to know quite a few, or introduce myself to a lot of the up-and-comers, so to speak.
Yep.
So, which is really good from that point of view. So
incredibly important that we're bringing through, or the society here is bringing in that next group of researchers, because we talked about it's been 55 odd years, and some of those names are still involved, and some of the newer ones. But to get that work being done from young new students to come through for the next 50 odd years is important as well.
Oh, that's exactly right, and it was amazing, the brains in all those rooms. You'd see people meet people, and it was like, I go to the US conference every year. I do my G'day Australia event just to see these guys, and it might be, I don't have a lot of time to sit there and chat with them.
Yeah.
But the advantage of Japan was that we actually got to sit with them for long periods of time. I sat with Shane Greenhill and Steve Hewitt. We were talking to Dr. Frank Rossi. He's been out to Australia a couple of times, having a chat to him. We needed to talk to him about something, some VGCSA stuff, and he goes, I've got 5-10 minutes. 25 minutes later, he's still talking. He goes, I actually better go. And we all looked at each other afterwards going, we could have sat and listened to him forever.
And you're not going to get that opportunity in other instances, eh? This is once every 4 years. It gives everyone plenty of notice to come together in this type of fashion. And that's why, by the sounds of it, you got this great contingent from Victoria to sort of go to the one in Japan with yourself and, as you mentioned, a couple of other people. So that gives a lot of notice, so that when you're looking into participating and being involved in the society, you've got an opportunity there to talk to these people in a way that you wouldn't otherwise at all.
That's exactly right. So it's that time. You're not just spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We're spending the whole week together.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing. And everyone is so welcoming. Like, one of the things I've always looked at, I'm coming from a trade point of view, it's like, how's everyone going to perceive me? Because I'm not a superintendent, I'm not a turf manager, but no, everyone treats you the same. So it's actually worked out really well.
Yep.
And being elected to the board was, that was. I'm still dumbfounded that I'm on the board there.
That's impressive.
But it also gives you an idea of when you're there listening to the introduction and what the society, besides bringing all the researchers together, the other thing, it does actually have aims of what it wants to provide the turf industry,
the
as
outcomes
a whole.
that they're looking to produce.
A lot of different outcomes, because there's a lot of different, and they're trying to collaborate some different work, not to overlap too much, but where research needs to be done and where there's funding. I know in Australia we don't have much funding. I'm hoping going forward, there's a few things in the pipeline. I can't say too much, but hopefully if some of my ideas come off and a couple of others are working on it, that we can get some decent funding. But there is a lot of work wanting to be done that needs to be done, because we talk about turf as a whole and the benefits of it. So they're looking at working with sustainability, environmental, water conservation, climate change, all of that. There is a lot of research projects being done, because that we need to develop as an industry. Turf is good. It has a lot of environmental benefits, but we also need to communicate that, but also to develop different ways of getting a better result in the end. That's what it comes down to. So there's a lot of work with that, and I know, and a lot of that will come from with
Torgerson Gilby,
with Kate and Menina they're going to be a lot of part of that as well. So they just got some funding for a research project. Actually,
and they're doing some work with the RNA or something.
Yeah, with the RNA, which is pretty cool. So that's part of what the International Turfgrass Society is looking to do as well. So there's going to be hopefully a lot more from them. So things are going to grow that way. So it's not necessarily going to be like going, hey, we're just going to work on diseases and stuff like that. That'd still be a part of it, but there's going to be a lot more from that sustainability point of view. But I will say, it's like, this is one of the things going, there was a lot of talks on dollar spot over there. I saw Australians going, another dollar spot talk. But dollar spot is the most destructive turf disease there is worldwide. Take Australia out, because dollar spot is not huge here, but worldwide it is. So they're trying to develop ways to manage it a lot more culturally rather than chemically.
Yeah, because a lot of the things are restricted now in Europe, specifically on a major level.
That's exactly right. So that's what trying to do. And then obviously, I guess we've talked a little bit about one of the things about the conference is you can actually become a member.
Well, this is the thing, right? So talking about participating and being involved, is it, and I didn't know this until just now, right? You can join to be a member of the society and have access to the conference and the things that, let us know what they are.
So pretty much it's like going, so you don't have to be a turf researcher or anything like that to be a part of the society. You just have to have an interest in turf. It's only $329 US for 4 years. So you pay your membership now, and it's renewed every 4 years. So I signed up before Japan conference, and I didn't get the best value, but because you had a discount on the conference, it was worth it in the end. Yeah. So I did that. So in terms of that, you get it now until August 2029, which is
Wow, that's huge. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's unreal.
So so you get a decent amount of time for for becoming a member. Part of that membership is you get access to the turfgrass information file, which is done through Michigan State University. So if you're a member, I believe if you've got an ASTMA membership, you have access to that database. But if you don't, you can get access through this way. Okay. And that's a huge database of searching with whatever research article you want.
So this is all the research that's been part of that collaboration put together. You got access to
a lot of it there. The other side of it, you have access to all the research papers from all the past conferences as well.
Oh, wow.
So going back to the very early ones, like they used to always produce a book afterwards. And in our board meeting, we were talking about producing that book in the end and sending it out, but it's all online. So that's the other thing that you get there. Obviously, you get the discount to the
conference,
to the conference as well. So there are so for the cost of it, it's not that expensive. For us, so definitely well worth it. I'll put in the show notes.
We'll get the links to the show notes so people can go and have a look for themselves and see what those details are specifically. That they look at it and they can say, okay, well, that's something that I really think is worthwhile for us to get hold of. In terms of the conference, it was just to Japan. So it goes for 4 days?
It pretty much starts on, when did we get there? We got there on the Saturday, and it goes through until the Thursday.
Yeah, okay, so wow. So it's a decent length.
It's a decent length. So you start on the weekend, but the next one is in Canada, in Guelph, in Ontario, so on the eastern side of Canada.
Yeah.
And what it usually is, it's like get there and everything is organised. Pretty much most of the food you get fed really well.
Well, you need to make sure that happens.
Really well. It's like, you get a breakfast there, you get a lunch there, dinners, they do a couple of dinners, they do a big banquet at the end and opening and everything like that, and then other times you can do your own thing as well. And we're all in the same place. So where it was in Japan was in Karawaza, where it's a snow town, so going to like Threadbow and stuff like that.
Righto. Yep.
So we're in one big resort. Funnily enough, I will just say something about the rooms. I remember talking to John Nayland and said, he goes, I'll just get the bigger room because it's got a desk, you might be able to do some work. Yeah, sounds good because all Japanese hotels are small. This was a Taj Mahal. This was huge. It's like going, it was like, oh wow. It's like, and I saw the small room and said, I should have got the small room because the prices were really good. Japan.
Okay.
That was one thing. So
There you go.
that was good there. But we were all in the same place. So the way the conference starts, it was I think it was Sunday or Saturday. Just trying to remember.
Saturday, I think you just said.
Yeah, Saturday, sort of lunchtime,
Yep.
get there, and they do a bit of an intro and everything like that. And then we really start getting nitty gritty. So the way it is, and this is the big difference. Like I go to the US conference, and as a lot of people know, I sit there listening in 4-hour seminars.
Yep.
This is 15-minute talks. That's it.
Righto.
15-minute talks. So what they have, it's like 15, 20 minutes. They have the researcher goes up, talks about what they did, summarizes it, slides, and then ask questions afterwards. So back to back. So 2-hour session.
Okay.
That way. So it's not the finer details of everything because they got to get through so much.
Because there's a lot to deliver.
There's a lot, and you get to choose. So there was 4 different rooms you could choose from, and each room sort of had a bit of a different theme. So that was the other side of it as well. So you go, and this year in the past few conferences, they've had a practitioners stream as well, which is usually on the Monday.
Okay.
So this is where the turf managers, any superintendent or any turf managers can go there and go, hey, wait a minute, this is from a practical point of view. We can not just use the research that we're listening to, but here's some practical things we can take back and use at our facility.
Yeah, sure.
But again, it's short and sharp.
Yep.
So you don't tend to, and that's the thing is go, when we sat there and listened to the dollar spot, it was interesting. But by the 20th one, I was like going, that's right, it's only 15 minutes. We've got something else here.
Yeah.
Because there was a theme. There was also a theme on Zoysia because Zoysia is very popular in Japan.
Yep.
And there was also on robotics as well because that's really
that's a big thing over there.
Yeah,
isn't it?
really come to the forefront there. So you could pick and choose. So I was lucky enough, their partner in the business, Jeff Derrick, who some people may know, he was there as well. If it was just me, you could only see so much. So it was good to have a couple. I know Metropolitan Golf Club, John was there
Mann,
with his assistant Hamish. So it worked well. They got the whatever ones they wanted to go in with that. And then you get links to all the research papers as well. So it's not just like you sit there and take notes. You can actually, you can take pictures of the slides or what have you, but you sit there and you can actually then download all the research papers.
Incredibly in depth by the sounds of it, and lots to take away.
It's mentally, it was very exhausting, even though it was only 15 minutes each talk, but they're full on days.
Yeah.
By the end of it, it's like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But you enjoyed it and you go, wow, I got so much out of it.
Okay, that's fascinating, and what a great way to detail it. Thank you for doing that, so that we've got a bit of an idea in terms of what you would expect to see. And like you mentioned, there's a good contingent from Victoria that went this time around, so people can reach out through yourself or others that went to get a bit more of an idea if they're considering going to Canada. I want you to tell us a little bit about you're involved now as a board member. You're not the only one from our corner of the world this time around. Who else is involved?
No, that's right. So in Australia, we're allowed sort of 2 board members, which is great because I thought, oh no, this is going to be a vote between myself and another person. It's like, no, we could actually get, because I asked that question to the guys who nominated me. I said, can we both get on?
Yeah,
because the other person now, which is great for him to be on, is Dr. Brett Morris. A lot of people would have known him from either St Jenna days, where he worked for New Turf, and he was at Sea Temple Golf Club and Brisbane Golf Club.
Yes, up in Queensland. That's right.
And now he's working for the RNA. So he's on there, and it's really good to have him on there just with his knowledge. He's very, very smart, Brett. Really good, really good. And now with the RNA, I've been talking to him quite a bit there. There's some good things that he's going to help with the RNA for Australia because he's the agronomist for Australasia area.
Right, okay.
And then we also have a New Zealand representative.
Oh, go on.
So Will Bowden from PGG Turf.
Yeah, fantastic.
Rights and Turf, who's been on the podcast when we were at the ASTMA conference.
Yes, that's right. Indeed.
So Will's on there as well.
That's brilliant. Great to hear.
So we've had, we've got a great little contingent from Australia and New Zealand.
That's awesome.
To put us all on the map. And that's the other thing I hope for. It's like going, well, it put us, Australia's on the map, but to have more of an input in regards to it.
In terms of Will from New Zealand, the research that he's involved with there, and I mean, these are 3 heads, yourself, Brett and Will, in our corner of the industry that's got so much knowledge and connections in the current landscape and what's going on. It's about being across all that, what you can bring to the society from here. These are all positive things for our neck of the woods to be able to add in collaboratively to the international scene.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of the things that we do in Australia, like we do punch above our weight. The way we do things is different. We got good. A lot of people got good budgets and the likes like that.
Sure,
but we are trying to understand why. How can we prevent what we can do? And when the guys who went there, from Australia, we're all looking at that going, how can I make things better? I don't want to spend way out of it and go, well, I've got an issue.
Yep.
We need to solve it in a different way rather than just keep on spending the money there.
And you've got access, like you said, to other minds in other parts of the world that are potentially dealing with you can talk about them dealing with the same issue, but in a different part of the world. They might be doing things in a different way culturally that you can go, hey, and this is the thing I love about catching up in conferences and talking to people from other environments, is you go, what are you doing over there? Because we've got it and this is what happens with us. And they go, well, we've got it and this is what happens with us and this is how we do it. And you're sharing that knowledge, and then you go, hey, they've done something that we've not thought of or considered before. Let's try and take that and adapt it to what we're doing. And like I said, the world's moving to using less and less chemicals. Yep. We know that, and becoming more conscious of how and when you use them. So understanding other ideas of doing things is very important. And this is what allows that.
No, definitely.
It's facilitating that.
Yeah, exactly. And the other side from, the benefit for Australia as well, it's like going now between myself and Brandon and Will, we've got access to a lot of these people where they know of Australia, but we can now get in touch and go, well, how can, if there's a speaker for a conference someone's looking at going, you know what, we know someone in Europe, we know someone in this country that can do.
Yep.
We don't necessarily have to look at the US. It does definitely help, but all over the world, get them to, to come to Australia. Because a lot of people always want to come to Australia. They always say it's too far.
Yeah.
And I always say, it's not that far to do it. I said, you like Hawaii? Yeah. Go to Hawaii first and come to us. You like Japan? Go to Japan. Then come to us, do it that way. So there is that real benefit there. One thing actually I do want to say, it was interesting when they put up the stats of how many people were, how many delegates there were, and this included partners and everything like that. Let me just pull this up. So in total, there were 421 registered delegates.
Yep.
That included partners and everything like that. Australia was number 3.
Oh, really?
Behind the US and Japan for delegates.
Fair dinkum. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is very, very impressive.
So I thought I was like going, that's
so good.
I did not expect that at all. So, yeah.
And that's good to know that people who, that's what we're doing this for, right? So the people that already know about it are passionate about it, and they go, listen, we're going to get something out of it. But now we're trying to showcase this and broadcast it to the broader Australian, New Zealand greenkeeping community and turf community through the podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard a lot of that stuff now. We're going to have things in the show notes that you can look at too. I didn't know anything about being a member and all this stuff. I mean, it's a very exciting thing and great to see that you're involved in the board.
No, that's it. And with the conference in 2029, part of being the board, this is the bad part I had to say. I've actually got to go to a pre-conference tour in 2027 to Canada.
Tough times.
I know it's very high.
Take one for the team, mate.
That's it. I remember speaking to Peter McMaugh. He said, "Yep." He goes, "Yep. You just have to pay your own way." I said, "No problem, Peter." I said, "Luckily, I'm in a position where I am with Campbell's where we can do that."
Yep.
So going to definitely do that there, because one of the things I will say, it's like the plan is for 2029 there'll be like a pre-conference tour. Then there'll be obviously start of the talks, and then there's always a day of tours somewhere.
Okay.
So it'll be different turf facilities around the Ontario area. And then obviously the talks afterwards. The other side, I've spoken to a couple of people who said, yeah, we're going to go in 4 years' time.
Yep.
They said, you know what? It's being our winter. It's not far from New York. It's going to be their summer. So in terms of then visiting different universities or different golf courses in the middle of summer, great opportunity, because Ontario, you're not too far from anything there. So getting there is not going to be easy for us Australians going East Coast Canada. But when we're there, there's a lot you can see.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind if anyone's listening.
And it's 4 years of planning, right? So it's happened this year. So you've got a long time to think about being able to get there and how you want to go about doing it, which is great, which is another good thing about talking about it now.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully it's like, we had 31 delegates in Japan from Australia. If we can match that or a bit more.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
And a lot of the people who went from Melbourne said, no, we'll be back in 4 years' time. And I think their clubs will support it as well, because they all went back talking about how positive it is. We had a bit of a WhatsApp group. We set that up. It was good, and everyone had such a good time. A lot of people did take a bit of holiday before or after.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
It's a great way to do it. And, it's another level in a way, but a really enjoyable conference. And it was relaxing in the end, realistically.
Very good, mate. It's fantastic to hear, Nadeem, and I think it's very important that this is something that people who want to try and go further in their turf career and even just learn more in general about how to manage turf and potentially on their properties and whatever they're looking after in different levels of their career. So it's great opportunities there for people. We're going to have links in the show notes to the International Turfgrass Society, mate. People can contact you if they're interested in more stuff as well. So we'll have your email address on the show notes too, so we can make life easy for people to get in contact with you. It's very exciting, mate. Good to see you. Great 4 years ahead. Thank you for coming out here to Avondale, and where we're recording this podcast. And this will get out, mate, before the end of the year, so people can really get straight into it, have a think about potentially what they're going to do, and maybe get involved, which we'd love to see and hear about more of. So, Nadeem, thank you for joining in as Steve's random special guest, even though you're a friend of the podcast that's been on plenty of times. Great to have you back, mate, and good to share this information.
No, thank you very much. And just a quick Christmas message. If you hear this before Christmas or after Christmas, Merry Christmas to everyone in the turf industry. Thank you so much for your support, not just of me, but of also Steve's podcast and everything like that. Steve, what you're doing is bloody awesome out there, interviewing all these different turf managers from around the place. I know it's getting bigger and bigger going forward, and it's great to be along for the ride with it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate your support this year. It's been a wonderful year, and we're looking forward to a big 2026. And mate, without your help, you've been a massive help for me along the way. So I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to. We've just finished this episode with Nadeem, but I've wanted to bring Nadeem back in and as putting this podcast episode together. And I know that one was recorded, as you heard, at Avondale Golf Club. But I've just got Nadeem back on the phone for this little outro. G'day, Nadeem. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Not the best of circumstances to come back on the podcast.
No, mate. And the reason we're doing this is we've recently heard just this last week of the passing of Peter McMaugh. So we wanted to have a little tribute and a little talk about the life of Peter McMaugh. If you, mate, would be so kind to give us a bit of an idea as to just how big Peter McMaugh was in the turf industry.
Yeah, definitely. I guess this sort of stemmed back to sort of the episode that we recorded with Behind the Turf, trying to get people to know who Peter is. But Peter McMaugh was a turf scientist renowned all over the world. A lot of industry peers knew him, and a lot in Australia. A lot of people were taught by him. He recently passed away, as said, of 90 years old. How can I say? It's like he was really turf legend, iconic, and he realistically was the father of the Australian turf industry, in my opinion, just in what he had achieved. And obviously we talk about a little bit about that in the within the podcast and the likes like that. But one of the things is that, we just recorded the episode about the ITS, International Turfgrass Society. Peter was actually a long-time member of this society and still was at the time of his passing. But he was also president in 1993 and brought the conference to Australia in 1997 in Sydney.
Wow.
So, which was a great achievement, putting, again, Australia on the map. But his achievements just, you can just rattle them off. I know, we'll probably put in the show notes there, the ASCMA did a great history about his achievements.
Yep.
That they talk about. But ones I want to obviously say, it's like, one thing that he did get back in 2019 was a member of the Order of Australia, which was on the Australia Day honours. So that is no mean feat and a very difficult recognition to achieve. And as Gary Behag and John O'Dell, who did the nomination in regards to that, he was also the amount of different turf grasses he was involved in developing Greenleys Park, Wintergreen, Windsor Green, and even Sir Walter. So everybody,
quite incredible. Pioneering things in this country, but being in basically bringing those grasses to our industry, bringing them to the marketplace, developing them and cultivating them and breeding them, ultimately. I mean, it's unbelievable to the length and breadth of what he had done and achieved for the turf industry in this country. I mean, he was the name and the face, essentially, of turf science in Australia, really, wasn't he?
Oh, that's exactly it. And as I said, he was world-renowned. Like, I put an email out to the Turfgrass Society board the other day, also to the connections that I've got in the States, and I got a lot of messages back. Everyone knew him or knew of him, and everyone had a little story as well in regards to meeting him or just have a little bit of a conversation with him. So it was amazing. And I've actually had him for a couple of seminars through either SCA New South Wales, SCA New South Wales, or even ourselves. We did one with him and Gabby Adams in Adelaide one year with turf mites and everything like that. And the passion he had for turf, it was amazing. It never wavered. It's like even up till 90 years old, it's like he kept on having that passion for turf. And I was talking to John Nayland, turfgrass agronomist, that some people may know, a few days ago after obviously his passing, and he goes, "Yeah, Peter called me up a couple of weeks prior just to talk to him about an article that he wrote." So 90 years old, still sharp as a tack.
Unbelievable. And I had the luxury, and I got his details from yourself, mate, and I'd spoken to him a couple of times in the past year, and I'd never spoken to him before because I wanted to just pick his brains about some things and to regards to South African cooch, which I'm a fan of, and that was my time growing up and learning about that grass and working with it on course. But he was all too happy to talk about that stuff. And he was telling me that he was still developing grasses. Like there were couches that he was still working on too, up to the point of his passing. He was still working. You talk about being sharp as a tack. It was incredible. I couldn't believe he was telling me he's still working on developing grasses.
No, I remember going to his place, and he was always having, playing around with different grasses, seeing what worked and the likes like that. His place was really a museum, a library, a turf grass centre, all in one. Where his place, I remember walking around having a look. He was showing me what he was working on, and then the amount of turf resources that he had, and he had read everything in there. That's the other side of it as well. His knowledge from a practical point of view, but also from a literature point of view, is second to none. I don't think we'll see anyone like him ever.
Look,
ever
a
again.
person who devoted their life to turf grass and like I said, led the way in our modern time in turf grass research for Australia. And whether we'll have another person like him, I don't know. I agree with you. We may not. It's a different world now, and to be able to, I suppose, launch our industry off his shoulders and the work that he had done in many forms and many facets and continue to do so is a remarkable legacy that he leaves for everybody. Everybody indeed, and that goes to people even playing on those sports fields. There's everything attached to turf grass, whether it's those that work in it and those that play on it and the sporting codes that we have across Australia. We owe so much to Peter McMaugh, and so many of us will never quite appreciate or understand how much he had done for us.
No, exactly. And I think it's like there's going to be a lot of tributes coming through for him. I know he was life members of a lot of associations of, ASMA, who was the Distinguished Service Award winner, life member of Turf New South Wales, which used to be the Turf Growers Association, and also New South Wales Gold Supers Association. So there'll be a lot of information come out on his career. So I really encourage anyone who's listening to this podcast, have a look at those articles when they do come out. And I know the ACMA put out that they're going to be putting out a big feature about him just to get an idea of what he has done. And I'll go back to the podcast that we recorded. I think it was episode 39 and 40.
Yeah, so that was yours.
Yeah,
that was a Colin Campbell Chemicals Behind the Turf podcast. He did 39 and 40, episodes 39 and 40. It was an interview that you had done with David Warrad as well.
Yeah,
and
he was a good friend. Who's a good friend of his, and I couldn't do it without David, because just that history that Peter, obviously, to get it out of Peter, the information there. It's like he would talk a lot on the different things, but David helped bring it all together and talk about that side of things. And we ran through a lot of the history of not just of Peter, but also with the turf industry.
So we'll have those links in the show notes of this podcast episode, and it's quite a snapshot of Peter's time in his life and the work that he had done throughout it. And it was a great conversation, mate. So well done for being able to capture that piece of history that we have as a legacy of Peter McMaugh's time when you spoke with him in person. So it was that was a special thing to be able to have upon reflection, mate, and special at the time in general. And now it's some of the parts that we have left to look back and remember Peter McMaugh.
No, definitely. And one thing I will say, if you want to raise a toast for Peter, do it with a nice glass of red. He loved his red wine. So please raise a toast for him whenever you can, whenever you're thinking of turf or reading some work that he's written. By all means, yeah, he definitely liked a red wine, and it was great to just have conversations with him over the years. I didn't know him as well as a lot of others, but I did get to know him, a short amount of time over, say, my short career in comparison.
It's probably a great fitting way to leave it there with thinking of a glass of red wine as well as a toast to Peter McMaugh's life and career, mate. So, Nadeem, thank you so much for doing this podcast episode and this little outro tribute, in a way, in our own little way, to the life of Peter McMaugh.
Thank you, Steve.
Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you need to make sure that you please like, share and subscribe this podcast episode if you will be so kind. And any reviews would be great and help the podcast get around even further. I do thank Nadeem for being part of this podcast episode, and I wish you all the best, ladies and gentlemen. Get out there, please share it around. It's a great way to learn more is here on the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. So you hit them clean, we'll keep them green, and I'll catch up with you very soon.